Let's take a break. Coffee break, that is. Wala na yung cafecito.
Welcome to another coffee break where we're able to learn, discuss, and discover various topics. I'm glad you're able to join me on your coffee break. So grab yourself a hot cup of coffee and have a seat. Today's topic, we will be learning about culture diversity, what it is, and how do you build it. And let's get right into it. Cultural awareness is the foundation of communication, and it involves the ability of standing back from ourselves and becoming aware of our cultural values, our beliefs, our perceptions, and why we do things a certain way, and how do we see the world, and why do we react in a particular way to certain circumstances or events. Cultural awareness becomes central when we have to interact with people from other cultures. People see, interpret, and evaluate things in different ways. What is considered inappropriate behavior in one culture is frequently inappropriate in another. Misunderstandings arise when you use or I use my meanings to make sense of your reality, right? So misinterpretations occur primarily when we lack awareness of our own behavioral rules and project them on others. In absence of better knowledge, we tend to assume instead of finding out what a behavior means to the person involved. As an example, a straight look into someone's face is regarded as disrespectful in Japan. And as part of the communication process that we learned here in the US is that, right, eye contact is essential and important to the communication process. But, I think that's a very good example is that, looking someone directly in the face in Japan is considered disrespectful. So becoming aware of our cultural dynamics is definitely a difficult task because culture is not conscious to us. Since we're born, we have learned to see and do things at an unconscious level. And our experiences, our values, and our cultural background leads us to see and do things in a certain way. Sometimes we have to step outside of our cultural boundaries in order to realize the impact that our culture has on our behavior. And it's very helpful to gather feedback from some of our foreign team members, colleagues on our behavior to get more clarity on our own cultural traits. Our projected similarities could lead to misinterpretations as well. When we assume that people are similar to us, we might incur the risk that they are not. And that if we project similarities where they are not, we might act inappropriately. And it's safer to assume differences until similarity is proven. There are 4 degrees of cultural awareness, and these are levels of cultural awareness that reflect how people grow to perceive cultural differences. So, be very mindful of these varying levels of cultural awareness. And at the first level, people are very aware of their way of doing things, and their way is the only way. And at this stage, they ignore the impact of cultural differences on their decision-making process. So that their thinking is, my way is the only way. Okay, so that's one level of cultural awareness. The second level is, I know their way, but my way is better. At this second level, people are aware of other ways of doing things, but still consider their way as the best way. In this stage, cultural differences are perceived as the source of problems, and people tend to ignore them or reduce their significance. At the third level, it's my way or their way. It's the consideration of both. So at this level, people are aware of their own way of doing things and that there are other ways of doing things, and they chose the best way according to the situation. And at this stage, people realize that cultural differences can lead both to problems and benefits, and are willing to use their cultural diversity or the cultural diversity to create new solutions and alternatives. And the fourth and final stage brings people from different cultural backgrounds together for the creation of a culture of shared meanings. People dialogue repeatedly with others. They create new meanings. They create new rules, especially to meet the needs of a particular situation. And this is the our way method of doing things. Increasing our cultural awareness means to see both the positive and negative aspects of cultural differences. And cultural diversity could be a source of problems, in particularly when the organization needs people to think or act in a similar way. But diversity increases the level of complexity and confusion to understanding different ways of thinking based on the cultural differences. Makes agreement difficult to reach. But on the other hand, cultural diversity becomes an advantage when the organization expands its solutions and sense of identity, and it begins to take different approaches to problem solving. Diversity in this case creates valuable new skills and behaviors. And this begs for the question, how do I manage cultural diversity? Right? You're working with a melting pot of people from various cultures, and you want to bring the best out of them and allow them to bring the best to your organization. So we're generally aware that the first step in managing diversity is to recognize it and learn from it and not fear it. So that's very, very important that you're working from the standpoint of being open-minded to learn, rather than fearing it and saying, okay, well, we're going to do it this way and this way alone, right? And that's not the way to be able to be as effective as you can as a leader and move forward the ideas and the goals of your organization. And since everyone is the product of their own culture, we need to increase both self-awareness and cross-cultural awareness. But there are certain attitudes that will help to bridge cultures. And these are 4 things that are very, very important that, hopefully you jot down, whether it's on paper or in your mind, so that these are the things that we are doing to ensure that we are managing the cultural diversity of our teams, the cultural diversity of our organizations, and of course, the cultural diversity of our community. So I think the first one is, admit that you don't know. Knowing that we don't know everything, that a situation doesn't make sense, that our assumptions may be wrong as part of the process of becoming culturally aware. Assume differences and not similarities. Because again, if you assume that there are similarities, that could lead to a breakdown in you being able to gain respect from another individual. Number 2 is it's important to suspend your judgments. Collect as much information as possible so you can describe the situation accurately before evaluating, right? Before coming up with a solution to a particular issue or problem or barrier. Number 3 is practicing empathy. In order to understand another person, we need to try to understand and having the ability to visualize yourself standing in his or her shoes through empathy, because we learn how other people would like to be treated by us if we do that, right? So caring is very important. And I think the most important thing to round it off would be to systematically check your assumptions, ask your colleagues for feedback, and constantly check your assumptions to make sure that you clearly understand the situation. You're putting on a conference, you're putting on a meeting, you're putting on an event, and that if there are certain uncertainties along the way about how to address a particular crowd, group, etc., that you're asking your colleagues for feedback and you're checking those assumptions to make sure that you're clearly understanding the situation. It's also important to become very comfortable with ambiguity. The more complicated and uncertain life is, the more that we tend to seek control. We assume that other people are resourceful and as we are, and that their way will add to what we know. And if we always do what we've always done, we will always get what we always got, right? And that's a very strong quote. And of course, at the end of the day, you always celebrate diversity as a company, as an organization, as a group, as a team. Find ways of sharing the cultures of your diverse workforce, whether it's, celebrating cultural awareness months at the organization, sharing food and the like, and sharing information, whether it's in meetings or a special luncheon that you're celebrating. So that'll help to encourage others to celebrate the diversity in the room, and that no one feels left out. When you're being all inclusive, make sure that everyone's involved and everyone feels happy that their cultural diversity is being recognized, and thus that their strengths that they bring are celebrated as well. That is it for today's coffee break. Make sure that you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this video. So get back to work or whatever it is that you are doing, and see you at our next coffee break. Should you want to workshop on this topic, feel free to get at me. Lates.